What up, Squibby?
What up, Yuri?
How are you?
Not bad.
I feel like I haven't seen you in like a year.
I know. We took 1 week off, and it's been quite. How can I say? It was a week too long.
It was, and it's funny. I don't usually admit things like this. I actually miss talking to you.
Thanks. Yeah. There's multiple avenues that it's good for.
And I had requests. Where's this week's episode from like 4 or 5 different people? So I know that doesn't sound like a lot to all of you because we're just starting out, but that was kind of encouraging.
Yeah. It means it's interesting to people, which is always a good thing.
How the hell they find you and I interesting is beyond me, but hey, whatever works, man.
I don't know. I wonder if they're in a psychiatric ward.
I don't know. Sometimes I think we should be in a psychiatric ward.
That's what I was just thinking. You beat me to the follow-up.
I'm pretty sure the 4th, 5th generations of antipsychotics were created, for me.
Yeah. I'm not too far off.
No, you're not.
That's okay. That's what makes our yin and yang work together.
Yeah. So, how's Pops doing? All right. He's doing better.
Tonto hit a big milestone. He hit his big 8-0 on this past
Saturday. Oh, Tonto.
Yeah, it's funny. So somebody goes, "You have nicknames for everybody." I was like, "Actually, I do." And they were like, "You call your dad Tonto." I go, "That's because he's chief."
Yeah, he really is. We should get him a big headpiece.
He would be so weird. He'd get so weirded out if he even knew that I was talking about him. Yeah, he does not like to let the world in on his personal being.
I don't either, though. I understand that.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to it because being an artist and kind of living in I'm not in the spotlight. Let's put it this way. I'm no celebrity like what celebrities go through, but a lot of people know I expose myself so people can relate and get by if they need to.
Dude, everyone I ever talk to knows who you are because of your job.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Like literally. Oh, the guy down at the frame store show, he's such a great little guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I do have a bit of a following in that world too.
And so talented, knows where all the colors should go.
Well, I bet. Like you'll get a kick out of this. So I had a customer that goes, "How long have you been doing this?" I go, 28 years. They go, "You're pretty good at this." I go, "Well, if I wasn't, and I've been doing it for 28 years, I probably should pick another career."
What? That was an ignorant comment on there. You're pretty good at this. Well, yeah, I am. 28 years later.
Well, when you first work with somebody, it doesn't mean, even in your business, even though somebody's been doing it for a long time, it doesn't mean that they could be good at it.
You know what's funny about that? I just said this to someone the other day. It was another trade, but around our age, maybe a couple years older. I said, I always listen to everyone's suggestion, even if it pisses me off. Even if it's coming from a first year like apprentice.
Yep.
I've gotten good ideas from first year, and it might just be luck on their part, but I always tell them to speak up. Because my point is you may do something for 25 years straight the same way, and then here comes this little kid who's working with you to be your helper, mentions an idea, and you look and you're like, oh my God, what? Oh my God, I've been wasting time for 25. He's right. I always give credit too because it's good for their, for their confidence. Because I've never met an apprentice unless they're whacked out on drugs who isn't nervous around a mechanic.
I could see that. Yeah, definitely.
Especially in construction because there's no political correctness in construction.
No.
Like I'm pretty sure,
you guys pretty much tell it like it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It used to be like that out in the real world, but not anymore. So
that is true.
All of a sudden, everyone has feelings, especially men. Strange to me.
Did you see the Instagram video? I think it was last week, where a guy goes in for a haircut, and the other guy goes, "Can I touch you?" And he goes, "You're cutting my hair. What do you think?"
Yeah. And he's like,
then he goes, "What pronouns do you identify as?" And he goes, "That's it. I'm out of here." He gets up and walks away.
Dude, if they said that, "Can I touch you?" I'd turn around and be like, "What are you saying?"
It would freak me out.
Yeah, if they asked me what my pronouns are, I'd be like, "Dude, get the fuck out of here."
Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't understand.
I don't care to understand because it's nonsense.
Yeah, it's too. Let's put it this way: if we have to walk around being that shy and worried about the world. What's going to happen when you walk in and find somebody laying on the floor from a heart attack? What happens when like
People, you know what
the
happens?
world actually really comes up and pretty
You know-
much shits on you? Because that's going to happen at some point.
You know what happens? People just walk right by that person on the floor who had a heart attack. I've seen it.
Yeah, that's true. Too.
Really quick story. One time I was at a gas station and across the street, a main road, I saw a person drop. I ran over there. He was in cardiac arrest. True story. I was able to help him and the ambulance get there. While I'm helping him, people are stepping over him to get into the bank.
That's horrible.
This was like 15 years ago. So imagine what it's like now. I'll never forget that.
Actually, they'd probably step on him. They'd probably put their cigarette on him nowadays.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. No,
And what makes me sad when I'm out there is that you look around and people are so indifferent. It's like they're not aware. And it's like, guys, the world's in trouble. Like, and we're all part of it. And if we all became that much more aware, something could be done. But we're not in a good place, you know? So, but not, you know.
I agree with that.
Well, I'm glad you agree with that because I really do. It does make me sad to see people indifferent because I still have faith in human beings, believe it or not.
Oh, totally. Well, it's also hard to see when, like, people could just be nice to one another and a lot of this stuff would change. But nobody is interested in it.
Every day I tried to ask a stranger, how are you? How was your weekend? Like today, I was just at the gas station before I got here. Lady there, probably 56, looked like she's had a rough life. Well, how was your weekend? Oh, it was good. You know, oh, that's great. Did you enjoy it? Yeah. Well, have a great weekend. Have a great week. Thank you for your help, sweetie. And I could tell it just picked her up. Excuse me. That's all it takes. And yet people are indifferent to even doing that anymore.
Well, or then you get the other people that are like, if you say "sweetie," they're like, "What do you mean? What do you judge?"
Oh, remember what I did to that girl at Starbucks?
I do remember. That's why that's what jumped.
When I pay $5 for a coffee, I'll call you whatever I want.
Yeah, pretty much.
that put a kibosh on all that because no one was going to confront me on that.
No, and that was definitely that was one of those interesting moments. Let's put it that way.
I have a lot of them in my life. My mouth gets me into trouble, people.
Yes,
but I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care.
You're a big enough person where you don't.
Get away with it.
You don't really have to.
Yeah, it's like you have to listen.
Yeah, who's going to try to fight you? I mean,
not many people.
I mean, I feel bad if they do.
But listen, this past week was a pretty significant week for both of us.
Yeah, so besides Tonto hitting his big 8-0, I
hit the big on
I got
April 23rd.
I am 4/23/08 is my date for stopping drinking and just deciding to change. Well, I really didn't decide to change my life. Let's just say that I just decided to show up to AA and my life got changed.
Yeah, well, no, you decided because you made the trip over there.
Yeah,
you had no choice.
There was no choice.
Life actually forced you to.
Yeah, it was that or die. So.
Well, that's the scary part about sobriety. People don't understand. You have to hit rock bottom, and rock bottom is a coin toss.
Yep.
Some people die, and some people don't and are able to get help. But don't kid yourself, people. It's a coin toss. And here's the scary part: the people who you would think would look for help in life at rock bottom are usually the ones who die, and vice versa. So when you see someone at rock bottom, don't decide what they're going to do. Just be there for them and encourage them to get help.
Yeah, that's all you really can do. I mean, that's the greatest thing. That's actually what I like the most about the program in general.
So how many years do you have?
16 now.
Ooh.
Yeah, you still
16 years.
You still beat me. But we both have the same month as our sobriety date.
You know what's sad about me?
What?
I went to detox before I was even old enough to drink.
Yeah. I should have went, but
I have 20 on the 27th, and it's funny. I don't even know who reminded me. I didn't realize until late at night, or maybe the next day. This 27th, this past Saturday, 27 years for me.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Oh, you know what's even crazier? That's my dad's birthday. How intertwined is that?
Life's interesting.
It really is. Yeah.
And I had someone ask me, "Do you think you could have a beer? It's been so long." You know what my answer was? I'm not one of those people who would say, "Oh no, I would never." I don't know. I might be able to, and be okay for the rest of my life having a beer here and there. But I also know that even if the chance is 0.5%, that what will happen is I'll have the one beer, in 3 weeks I'll be to a 12-pack, and in 6 weeks I'll be on the jack again. So even if you told me the odds were 99.5 that you aren't going to go back to the way you were, and it was only 0.5%, I still wouldn't take it. Because that 0.5% is so terrifying to me. What I would lose, my children, my family, everything, my own dignity, it's just not worth it to me anymore. It's not worth it.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree with that. I mean, I don't question. I say no automatically.
Oh, I'd say no, but if someone asks me, do you think? I'm not going to lie to them. I don't know. But here's the thing. Neither do I care to know.
Yeah,
I'm okay with where the place, the life God's given me, put me in. Yep. I'm okay.
Me too.
I chose this path that I'm on, and I can do it. It's one of the few things in my life I've accomplished.
Yeah, and life would be unmanageable if I drank again. There's no doubt about it. Actually, I wouldn't even enjoy. I didn't enjoy life at the end anyway.
Yeah, but you wouldn't even drink that long. You would just go straight to the other stuff sooner or later. Because it's always been a doorway for you.
Oh, totally.
And you're not the only person who told me. I know another person who had a terrible love of. Actually, I helped them get sober. Really helped them. Had a terrible love affair with cocaine.
Oh yeah.
And to this day, he will tell you he can't drink because it's the doorway.
Yeah, that would be me.
And
too.
Apparently, from what I've read, it's like that for many cocaine addicts. It starts with alcohol.
I mean, that's where I would
Jesus,
go.
You're yawning, dude. Maybe you need some cocaine right now.
No. You know what? It was warm. Since it was warm today, my energy level. I do warm okay, but I'm not.
Why don't you take your shirt off?
We're not going into that type of show. nor would anyone.
I'll have you pose like George Costanza in the Seinfeld episode. I'll be Kramer taking pictures.
You know what's funny about that? So I did a delivery once. There's a good story. So I did a delivery once, and there was this young, pretty cute girl that I was delivering these jobs to, and it was for it was a company in Shelton. And so I go to her. I go, I'm like a cute George Costanza. She goes, who's George Costanza?
How do you know who George Costanza? Was it an age thing?
Yeah. I go,
Wow.
oh, you never saw Seinfeld? She goes, no, what's Seinfeld? And I go, oh.
Dude, I watch repeat episodes all the time on YouTube.
Yeah, but...
I mean, I also watch repeat games with full games with Michael Jordan in it like it's today, so... And by the way, he still blows me away by what he was able to do.
He was a crazy basket. He was one of the... He is probably the...
He is the GOAT.
He's the GOAT in basketball.
6 world championships, 6-time MVP, never lost the finals.
Yeah.
Never went to a game 7. That is very hard to beat.
Yeah.
And listen, LeBron's probably number 2 or 3, but no one even yet comes near. There's a whole other thing that comes with Jordan too. The mystique,
he's the first
the way
one.
he presented himself, everything.
I would take Jordan over LeBron too. That's my own, own personal.
Most people would. The thing is, it's very hard to compare eras. Look at Bird. Some people think Larry Bird is the greatest player of all time. He definitely had the highest IQ of all time, basketball IQ.
Yep.
That dude used to get on the court, and when there was a white guy guarding him, he was in a game against Charles Barkley, and Charles Barkley told this story, and he's like, and I guess Barkley said that Bird was like swearing under his breath, like pissed off, and Barkley was like, "Hey, LB, what's wrong?" He goes, "You all disrespect me." This is what Bird says to Barkley, and Barkley's like, "What are you talking about? As one of the players are disrespecting you, LB. I'll take care of him. I'll stop it right now." And he goes, "No. You guys keep putting a white guy on me. That's disrespectful." So anytime Larry Bird had a white guy put on him, he would tell the other team, like Isaiah Thomas, You don't have anyone else? You put a white guy on me? That's how good he was. And at that time, that was a big thing in the NBA. Like a lot of people thought that it was a black man's sport, and it is. It is a black man's sport, which is fine. But every once in a while you get like a Larry Bird, and it's like, and Larry didn't, from what I understand, Larry did not see color. In fact, he learned from a bunch of black guys who used to work at the school. They used to let him, when they got off from work, they would go like from whatever they were doing in the school or the factory. He tells the story. They would play basketball in the back, and they would let him play. That's where he learned to play.
Oh.
So he's not one. They tried to make him see color, make it a color thing. And he's like, no, that's not how I see this.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people, I would probably say a lot of people that I know are kind of like that.
Listen, one of my closest friends at work is black. Yeah. I love the dude. Right. I do anything for him. I make him laugh all the time. I come up with things that white people do, and it makes them laugh. Because when you look at, if you look at us, if you walk outside, you look at our culture, white culture, it's hilarious. Some of the things we do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I agree with my friend Chris at work. He said, racism's not a problem. Our media makes it a problem. He goes, I grew up. My son has a white girlfriend. My daughter had a white boyfriend for 2 years. Like, no one ever thought anything of it. I never thought anything of it. My mom was a teacher at Bridgeport for 37 years. I never heard anything racial in my house. I didn't hear any of that until I went to school.
No, it was like the quote that Morgan Freeman said. What was it? I think it was on 60 Minutes, where they asked him about racism, and he goes, "Just stop talking about it."
He's right.
If you stop talking about it,
you forget about it.
It'll stop. It'll start to disappear.
You forget. He's exactly right. He's very intelligent.
Oh, he's a smart guy.
Denzel Washington said something very similar.
Oh yeah,
you got to stop talking about this stuff.
Well, but then it fuels fires. It sells propaganda,
which is disgusting. Because you're talking about another human being, whether the person's white or black.
And they're making and selling anxiety, frustration, anger. I mean, they're packaging it up in little care packages for us to digest.
What's hilarious about it, though, is this time the care packages are turning on them, because this election round, I've never seen such unity among white, black, Spanish, like.
Well, a lot of people.
Everyone's mad, man. Yeah. Everyone knows. Everyone understands now that, like George Carlin said years ago, that's a good old boys club, and you ain't part of it.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Yep.
It's like awakening the sleeping giant.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting.
It's good. Yeah.
Too big. What is it? Too big to rig.
Too big to rig is one of the quotes, and then
CNN put out a poll. CNN.
Oh, I
that
saw
admitted. He's 6 points ahead. This is the largest lead any presidential candidate's ever had on an incumbent.
I saw that 49% to 43%.
Yeah. Well, we need to keep that growing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people are hurting. I mean, I don't know how anybody else feels, but my dollar is nowhere near what it was worth 4 years ago.
Of course it's not. Either is mine.
And I'm not trying to pick sides or say this is right, this is wrong, but I'm not interested in sending all my money across overseas while this country is falling apart.
I bought a can of soda, a 16-ounce can of Coke Zero today, and a Gatorade Zero, and it was $6.75
for two drinks.
For 2 drinks.
For a can of soda.
I'm not like I won't even buy water or coffee anymore.
No,
coffee is like $3 or $4 for coffee.
Yeah, I buy a water, but I buy a case. I buy a 6-pack of water, and then I refill my water bottle throughout the week.
Oh, that's smart.
So that's refilled. That's not.
I have a gallon container that I fill up every day.
See,
but not like a milk gallon. Like I actually bought it's like
a water bottle. That's yeah. I've seen those.
And plus, it's easier to keep track of your water consumption, which is more as every day we get older is more and more important.
That's why I do liters, so I can monitor how many liters I have to drink. Two to 3 a day.
That's why you and I don't look our age.
Oh.
And I'm not bragging, but it's because we drink a lot of water and I stay out of the sun. And also because I got the tip from Sully from Godsmack at a concert. He was joking around, but he was serious. I use Cindy Crawford skincare, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Did he really tell you that?
Yeah, so I start using it, and it's great. I don't even have crow's feet on my eyes.
Cindy. All hail Cindy Crawford. She's got some
God, she's beautiful.
magnificent care.
Dude, to this day, her and Kathy Ireland to this day are beautiful. I know it's because that's our generation, but they are beautiful. Can you imagine having a wife like Donald Trump's wife? Man, gorgeous.
She's a good looking.
And smart.
Yeah, she's very good looking. Melania. I would pick her over Jill any day of the week. And I'm just going by looks. I'm just being as superficial as I possibly could at this present moment in time.
You're a sick little man tonight.
I'm just saying it.
And by the way, I see you looking at that microphone, the clamp, like you were last time.
I was just double checking. Sure
yeah. Let's not get OCD about that again, my little peanut.
No, I'm not. I'm thinking about. I'm also fielding where I'm going to come from, thought process wise.
But so let me ask you something.
What's that?
Bringing it back to the 23rd in your sobriety date. What's been the hardest part for you over the last 16 years?
Oh, that's a good question. The hardest part? Tell you the truth, I don't think there really has been. I think surrendering was the hardest part. And then once I surrendered, then it all kind of flowed out of that.
You know what?
What was yours?
It's embarrassing to admit, but I'll admit it.
What's that?
I sometimes miss having a crutch.
Oh, okay.
I miss. This sounds so almost evil, but there's something about this world, this life is hard, and I understand, and we have our crosses. And I understand that God gives it to us, and we're supposed to bear them and march forward. And I think that's part of what makes you, at least for a male, that makes you a man. You carry your cross, you bear it. You learn to handle it. You don't complain. You do what you have to do. And I'm in total agreement with that. But when you had, it's like I opened the door. Not that it's a temptation, but like I know what it's like to have an escape, even if it's just for a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I know the consequences. That's why I'll never go there. But sometimes I miss, and maybe this is just something I got to work on, finding something that's healthy as an escape. Because that's probably the hardest part of it is like I miss that escape that substances would bring. But it's not the substance I miss, it's the escape. That's the addictive part almost. Like, and the one thing I never did was find something that I can escape with that's healthy. Like, and like people go, well, you go to church, John. Yeah, I go to church, but that's not an escape for me. I'm going to church to work on my soul because I need that. I mean escape, like I never like you know how some guys have hobbies like they go fishing, or I never came up with something like that. And I don't know how I've gotten so far with it. Although I will say I've picked up camping the last couple of years, but still it's I have 3 kids, and it's hard. And my therapist always tells me, well, you should make time. You have to make there is always time.
Yeah.
But but then there's that part of me who whispers in my ear like the devil, you don't deserve it. So it's a weird conundrum I'm in. Like I miss that escape. I guess I miss the simplicity of it because it's so easy to use substances for an escape. Literally takes 2 seconds.
Yeah, that it does.
Yeah. And one of the things you learn when you get sober is anything fast is no good.
Yeah. Well, usually fast usually ends up crashing.
Yeah.
I don't.
Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does.
It's embarrassing that I admit that, but hey, hell with it. I got 27 years. I must be doing something right.
See, I think I never really had I didn't have a crutch after I got in. I learned, I don't know. I think it was 8 years, maybe 9 years. It was a while ago now. But I went to a meditation meeting for a long time, for probably 2-3 years. And it was a mindfulness practice, which taught you to be in the moment. And it was called Mindfulness and the 12 Steps. It's actually a fantastic book for anybody that's in recovery that wants to look up a book it's not AA authorized, but it's a very, very,
is that the
very
one that
good book.
uses Xanax in step 6?
No.
I'm only joking.
No. No. It's yeah, it made you kind of
Can
like
I
look
just
at
say
your
you should have
thought
seen the
process.
look on your face when I just said that?
Well, I was like Xanax. I was like, I wouldn't take a Xanax if it paid me. I used to take those to come down off of my benders.
Oh my God.
uh, but yeah, no, the mindfulness practice taught me to be where my feet were, and then once I learned and became comfortable with where my feet were, then I never really wanted to run anymore. And now it's just being able to handle the situations that kind of come, because the situations still come. It's just that, like, if I want to run, it would be dangerous, because if I run, then I'll never come back.
Oh, I still run, but I don't run away from the situation. I run to them to solve them as fast as possible.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just me, though. Everyone has their own way. I'd rather just run to the danger and deal with it.
yeah. See, I don't do that. I analyze everything. I can't. I have to systematically break everything down. That's
Nah,
just
I
how my
don't-
brain works.
I don't do that.
Yeah, but everybody
I'm
does.
situationally aware of what's presented before me, but I definitely run right to it.
Well, maybe that's
And
how
I
you,
have the thinking, like for me, I'll figure out when I get to it.
well, that's what I was just about to say. Maybe because when you put yourself in the moment, when you're in the moment, you're forced to figure out the moment rather
Right.
than figuring out the moment before you get in the moment.
Do you ever think about the things that you missed out on all those years you were using?
Uh, to a certain degree, but not really. Because I've always believed that everything that I got to is the reason why I'm at where I'm at is because of everything that happened previously. And that goes into God and God's plan for my life, and how everything is like predetermined.
It had to go this way, is what you're saying. I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you.
And to tell you the truth, you know what? I learned a lot by doing the wrong thing on what I viewed as why I want to live the way that I want to live.
That's a really good point. I agree with you on that.
Because
I never thought of it like that. That's excellent point.
yeah, because I don't ever want to go back. Like I can cold heartedly say I have no interest in going back. Like, I mean,
Neither do I.
and I have been in a situation
Yep.
where I was at a music festival. I looked down.
I remember you called me. You said,
and-
"What do I do with it?"
and I
I
found
said,
it.
"Put it in the garbage."
And I found an ounce of cocaine. And,
Yeah.
and I'm telling everybody, it wasn't a small amount. It was a full fist of rock.
Yeah.
And literally, when I opened the bag, because I opened the bag just to double check to
You
see if
smell
it
the
was,
diesel?
I smelled, as soon as the diesel hit, underneath my eyes watered up. My mouth got real parched, and literally, I got so scared, I literally closed the bag and threw it back on the ground.
Pause for a minute. Remember, I told you to throw it in the garbage so a little kid doesn't find it.
Well, I threw it in the garbage eventually.
Yeah. So it's in case any of you have never don't know much about narcotics and cocaine. The reason cocaine, when you can smell diesel on cocaine and it has like a bit of a yellow tint, you got the pure stuff. And the reason it smells like diesel is because it's one of the chemicals that they use to break down the cocoa leaf to get the drug, to get it out of the leaf. It takes strong chemicals, and diesel's definitely one of them.
Yeah, we used to call that the gas.
Yeah, so that's the gas is what you want.
The
Yellow.
I'll pass on the gas.
Yellow shale.
Yeah. So, but when I found it, that was one of the situations that literally, like, that was the last test. That was the last big test, I think, that I was put through.
Did you have pride that you passed it, or you didn't look at it that way? Were you thankful that you passed that test? Because when you're prideful about passing a test, it's dangerous. But when you're just thankful that you passed it, I think it's different.
Yeah, no, I'm grateful to be quite honest, I heard this a long time in the rooms, and I agree with this cold-heartedly, is that a grateful heart will never drink. And I agree with that cold-heartedly. So almost everything that kind of every view of my life is to be thankful that I'm a part of it now. Because I really tried not to be here, to be quite honest. I don't really talk about that, but I mean, it was so ingrained. I never thought that I was trying to kill myself, but I was trying to kill myself.
None of us do when we're in the midst of it.
Yeah, and my denial was so bad that literally I said it to you before, and I think I said it on here like 1 or 2 times ago is that when my therapist literally was like, "Oh, well, you ever would you ever kill yourself?" Nah, I'd never kill myself. That's out of control. That's crazy.
Yeah,
And then
that's
she
out of
go-
the question.
and then she goes, "Matt, what do you think you do when you party the way that you party?"
It's
And I
true.
just got real quiet. And she goes, "You don't have a couple drinks and like look to like release." She's like, "You're on a mission." She goes, "You're trying to kill yourself," and it never really ever dawned on me. And once I looked at it once I looked at it that way, that changed my thought process on like how I look at what I do and what I do.
You know what's interesting? You know when my thought process changed?
What's that?
About year 16 about the whole thing.
Yeah.
When I started bouncing.
Oh, okay. So you got to see
And
the
I
outside.
got to see what, like, one drink or one shot or one beer, I could literally see, and it didn't matter if they were a seasoned veteran or they hardly ever drank, I could see the change come over someone. And I have to be honest with you, hand to God, it was never nice.
Okay.
Most of the time it was annoying.
So isn't that crazy though that now that you were in that position, that's what taught you to look at it the way you look at it now.
Yeah, now I realize that even the smallest amount brings change.
Yep.
And it's a change that's not, it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, for me too. Like, I have depression and some mental health issues.
I think most people do nowadays, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and almost every addict I've ever met, they've all had there's been some kind of underlying mental health
Yep.
that's been going on that just they didn't really want to address. It was easier just to plug it up. And
Or
kind
they
of move
or they
forward.
weren't even aware that it was there because they bury it so deep.
Yeah, yeah. If it started really early in life and
That's
they
dangerous.
were partying.
I
for that
know
little-
someone. I know someone who's a really good person. Some they swear something happened between the ages of, like, I think it was like 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Like, there was such a personality change that the parents even brought him to the doctor.
Wow.
But and never been able to figure out what it was, but something terrible happened. And it's funny what the brain can do, because there's things like, as far as myself, I know my father was very abusive. I know there's things I don't remember,
Yeah.
and I think I'm better off not remembering. I get the gist. I get it. I get what he is. I get what he did to me. I get that I was a victim. You don't have to know all the details sometimes, is my point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's no wonder that I was getting drunk when I was in 5th grade. I mean, it was bad, dude. It was a bad situation I was in. And then to think that that would just all go away as an adult or as a young adult, no way.
No, no.
And I'm not, and don't get me wrong, people, I'm not making an excuse for ending up in detox and Luscombe 9 at Bridgeport Hospital. I'm not making that excuse. That was totally my fault. I knew better even as a teenager. But I understand what brought me there. And I actually think that most people would have been brought there who went through what I went through. And I actually think most people wouldn't have even survived.
Yeah.
You know, I was only my guardian angel that saved me, because I remember a couple times where I should have had alcohol poisoning and died, and I didn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a couple times. I mean, there's a couple car accidents that I got in. There's a couple. There's a whole slew of shit that I'm.
Well, let's not
gonna
talk
say,
about car
but-
accidents
but-
because we know my history.
Yeah, yeah. But there's definitely. Some
I've never been in a
situations-
car accident where there was substances in use on my part. So
Oh, that's a good thing.
yeah, I was never, even at the height of my alcoholism, I never drove intoxicated, because my mother at one point made me swear to her that I would never do it, and I just didn't break a promise to my mother.
That was smart.
You know,
I did it way too many times, but
I didn't. I was always afraid to kill a baby. I was always afraid to kill an infant.
I was always driving super late at night, so I never really thought that anybody would have a baby.
You never know.
I was still dancing around at like 3:30 in the morning, 2:00, 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Yeah, I don't even want to think about those days. You know what's very funny though? So compared to nowadays, compared to back then, I used to hate the birds. Like when the birds started chirping, MF them because you knew that like daytime's coming. Now I have a bird feeder and I watch birds pretty much every day.
You know you're fucking psycho, right, bro?
No, totally. You don't. I
You
love
don't. You
birds.
didn't like birds, now you love birds.
Yeah.
What the hell did birds ever do to you?
So any person that does a lot of substances, especially substances that keep you up all at night,
Oh, they would wake you. Oh,
like birds, that was the tall tale sign that the next day was coming. And so you would hate, like, you would see the silhouettes on the trees, and you would start to hear the birds chirping.
I've never heard of it. That's interesting.
And you knew that day was coming. And, like...
And you had to face reality that you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, and every person, if you were in the heart of that world, and I'm sure that there's many people who probably have been there, or if we don't know you and you haven't, and you're just you end up partying, you can relate to that. Because that is the tall tale, like, that hour before the sun comes up is one of the worst hours in the world. I loved it the most, but it was one of the hours that literally was like, are you kidding me? Like, and towards the end of my days, it was kind of like, oh my God, I got to go to bed. Because I only have like 3 hours before I have to wake up to go to work.
Blame it on the birds.
Yeah. Chirp, 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 chirp. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
So that's a little history. That's a little segment from the past.
Bird hater.
Now I love birds. I feed the birds every day.
You talk to them too?
Oh yeah, a couple of them. I have like 5 sets of cardinals right now.
You know them all each by like individually or no? They all look the same.
Yeah, no, they all look different. Yeah.
Huh.
Like we actually have a new cardinal that's like he's kind of big and round and he's more orange than red.
Huh.
And then I have one that's pure red. I had one that flew into the house that I hate to say, but
are you sure you invited in?
No,
You have a love for birds all of a sudden?
No, I walked outside and he was down on the ground on the porch. I felt horrible. I had to go in back and I had to make a little burial for him.
Oh, he died?
Yeah, he flew into the window. Yeah, sometimes birds, if they see like if it's a certain time of day and the reflection in your window, they won't know that.
You had a burial for it?
Yeah, I buried
This
it.
is interesting to me. Really?
I can see that.
I would have just picked it up and thrown it in the bushes.
No, he deserves respect too.
Dust
she,
to dust?
whatever. Yeah, yeah. It's a cardinal. It's not like it's a crow. I mean, yeah, a crow. I'd probably just throw it off and I wouldn't even care.
What the hell did the crow do to you?
They're bad birds. They're not like birds that like I don't know. They're like crackles.
You know they're one of the most smartest birds there are.
Yeah, that's what I'm
They're
kind of.
extremely
I'm a little
intelligent.
freaked out by them actually.
They don't bother me.
Actually, I don't have really any crows. But you know what? They're very, the crackles especially. They're just very greedy birds. They'll sit up on a feeder and empty your feeder nonstop. Instead of just eating some and flying away. All the other birds get a little eat and then they move on. That's enough of the bird talk.
You're the one who brought it up, bro.
But I do watch birds.
I'm gonna call you the bird man from now.
But
I get you a pair of binoculars now.
I have my bird.
Hey, where's Script? Oh, he's bird watching.
I have this real cool bird. So I have a pileated woodpecker, which this thing is like, it's like Woody Woodpecker, but it's a monster. I mean, there's one huge one that's the mother of the father, and then now there's 2 little babies that fly around. So they have like a little like.
Do you have a fucking zoo in your yard or something? Next thing you have a leopard up in the tree.
I live near a lake. there's a lot of wildlife. Well, it's like in wintertime, I was out there feeding the birds, and next thing you know, I like look up and this freaking crane or swallow, I don't know what it was. It was a huge ass bird. I heard, I look up and the thing's flying around. And it was like December this year. I was like, what are you doing still around here?
Owls absolutely mystify me.
Oh, we had a crazy owl at our house.
They could be dangerous.
Yeah, they could be
Very good hunters.
Oh yeah,
extremely good.
They're they use like bats. They use their sonic. They have sonar.
Yep.
Yeah, I was driving home one time in Newtown, and literally an owl flew at my car, like full fledged.
You ever been duck hunting?
No, I don't care. I can't kill this stuff.
Why you eat them?
Yeah, no, I know that. I mean, I would, but no. I mean, that's kind of like that's advanced like my my, my gun skills are very very subpar. If non-existent is a word, I'll go with non-existent actually, even more than subpar. I really am not. I'm a lover. I'm not really a fighter. I can't really even fire a gun.
I'll get you to
I
fire.
know you would.
Don't worry.
The look on his face right now, staring at me, that wants me to go.
I mean, I feel like
go
I
to the
should-
shooting range and actually get
Either
me
that, or
to-
I should beat you a little after this.
No, no,
I know. It's not for everyone.
no, I tell you the truth, I would. In Connecticut, you're not really allowed if you have.
I'm going to be honest with you about hunting. All right. Here's a point of here's some honesty from me. Your first kill is very difficult
I could see that.
because, believe it or not, in the world we live in, for a normal person, human instinct is not to kill.
Yeah,
Even though we have urges, to actually do it is a long leap.
gotcha.
I will tell you something else too. That is a very dark side of human beings. Every human being. When you kill something, okay, let's put it this way: when you go to sniper school, one of the things that they work on and you practice over and over again is not looking at your kill, because it's been found that human instinct, it's a dark part of human instinct. Let's say you line up someone, you scope, you take the shot, your spotter says hit, you're supposed to move to the next target. There's a very strong urge that you literally have to practice overcoming to bring your scope back and look at your victim,
Oh,
which in wartime can get you killed
yeah, I can see that.
because you're looking at your victim instead of being on target of your next shot that your spotter has called out.
Yep.
The big problem, that person could take a shot on you.
Yeah.
But it's actually something that they train you out of.
Oh.
It's to overcome the urge. It's just part of our makeup.
Huh. I never knew that before. That's interesting. I
And
can
so
see that,
we
though.
have a very dark side to us, I think, too. I don't know if it's dark side or it's more of a morbid curiosity.
Nah, I think it's a dark side. We have a yin and yang inside of us.
Yeah, it's a mixture, I guess.
Yeah, it's a balance. Everybody's got good and bad. There's nobody that's pure good and nobody that's pure bad. Well, okay, I'm sorry. I will renege on that. There's
examples.
definitely some people who are
well,
straight bad.
Listen, there's examples of both extremes.
Yes, I would.
But they're in the minority, both ends.
Almost absolute minority.
And I would say the majority tends to be closer to the dark side. Because
Yeah.
it's easier and more fun.
Well, especially in our culture now, because now it's so self-centered. That
I think
easy.
it's been yes, I agree with you. It's
Yeah.
hyper now, but it's always been there. It's always
definitely,
been like
definitely. Oh, even like back in the medieval days. I
that.
mean,
Well, dude, in the beginning of time, it was like that. I mean, it's just our fallen nature,
yeah, that's what I would say. I agree
and
with that.
and just our fallen nature is like a cancer. We've been around so long, the human race, that it just grows like a cancer. The fallen, that's why we're supposed to fight it. Like inside, it's an internal fight, and if you're serious about life, you'll take that fight up because I think we were talking about, this comes with, part of that is like becoming sober, you know. One of the things that I always big believer in is like everyone's like, I want to find joy and happiness. Well, you have to fight the good fight. And it's not about joy and happiness. I think it's about peace. And hear me out. I think you could be in the worst situation in life and still have peace. It really is about how you tend to the spiritual side of you. Like we've talked about before, there's three sides. There's the physical, mental, and spiritual. And in this country especially, but now it seems like around the world, excuse me, we tend to ignore the spiritual, and then things are out of balance. Things go crazy.
Yeah, I would say that. And then add a substance in if you can't handle it or your brain can't handle it.
Well, I think when we ignore the spiritual part and maybe add a little bit of the mental part, that's something needs to fill that. And that's where substance comes.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's a fast way to find what you think is peace, but it's really just a chemical dump of dopamine.
Yeah, and I don't even know if there's ever any peace in, like, most people who
I
are
know there
hardcore
isn't, but
alcoholics.
my point is you're thinking there is.
Yeah,
I think you start out like that, like,
yeah.
oh, it calmed me down. I found some peace for a little bit, but then all of a sudden, 3 years pass, and it's completely taken over your life.
And the people who have hardcore issues, I don't even think they realize. Like, I mean, I probably shouldn't even say some of this, but like some of the situations that I mean, my dad drank very heavily growing up, and he doesn't remember like half of what he did. I mean, I don't hold a grudge against him, but like,
No, you can't hold a
but
grudge.
I think a lot of people are like that, where like when you're totally inebriated or you're having like, just because you don't seem like you're inebriated at the time, but the person's drinking like a half a bottle a night or.
I can honestly say I have very few memories from the years I was drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
I have more memories of elementary school than I do of high school, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yep.
See, I remember a decent amount, but
You remember a lot more than I do from
Yeah.
high school, for sure.
but I
You even bring up things that I was involved in. I don't remember.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I have a pretty crazy memory. I had a lady that came in today.
Must
That,
be all
like,
that cocaine.
it's just my overactive brain. Yeah, add that in,
And the thing that you added cocaine to that is hilarious.
add that into the mix, and you're moving at about 8 million miles a minute. That's how my brain would work.
Did you ever have anyone say to you, "What is wrong with you?"
Oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
what would your excuse be?
I had one lady that
Too
was
much
like,
caffeine?
"You seem really nervous," and I was like, "Okay." And your point being, and like, yeah, I just never, I didn't give him the time of day. I didn't really care if you wanted to, if you didn't like me for. I'm a big fan. If you don't like me for who I am, I don't really. Part of my French, I don't give a shit.
I'm a big fan of that too. I could care less what most people think about me.
That's also that
Because
thought
I
process.
try to keep people around me who are not afraid to tell me to my face when I'm doing something wrong that they don't like.
And that I would probably say that thought process alone is why we have peace nowadays, because we're not really trying to strive for anything else besides
And
having a balanced day or like doing the right thing. It's really not. Look, you want. I'd love to have $1 million, but I'm not going to screw over the world to try to get it. It's just
not worth it.
It's not worth it. It's
You don't
not,
bring it with you.
exactly. And having my last breath is going to be a very calming, peaceful. I'm out of this.
Quarter ounce of cocaine.
Peace.
Only joking.
Peace. I'm out of here. No.
Well, you hope that's what it is.
I hope. I mean, even if it's not, I hope that the after effects after I take my last breath is more peaceful than. I mean,
I think if you're at peace inside, you'll be okay.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I hope so. I mean, good God, I don't know.
Bad people have terrible deaths. I'm very scared, and I know that because I know a nurse who worked in the hospice ward, and anytime she had like an old Italian gangster in there, right at the moment of death, they'd be screaming and yelling and swearing and stuff, and then you'd meet the old guy or old lady who, had a normal life and loved their wife and missed their wife and, you know, grandkids and all that, and they would just kind of peacefully slip away. And she always said the ones who were like, bad in life, you knew it. You could, even if you never read their chart, you could tell by the way they were dying what kind of life they led. And I remember thinking about that and being like, well, that's got to be true. She has no reason to make that up. And that really affected me.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, can you imagine? Because you see things if you're, the last couple hours of your life. And can you imagine, like, she said she had one patient who was an old gangster, nasty guy, too, when he was in hospice. And at the end of his life, he was screaming, terrified, because he said there were black shadows in the room.
Oh,
It's like, well, what do you do with that?
yeah.
It's too late, man.
I mean,
You know?
unfortunately.
And you want to hear a scarier one I one time thought about? Can you imagine being like 50, 60 years old? We're getting close to our 50s and getting Alzheimer's.
Oh yeah. I mean, that
You
would
know?
that would be.
Now think about that. That means you would have to make you really. I think that's why it's so important to try to make things right as often as you can, because you never know when you might lose your mind or go into a coma.
Oh
And
yeah.
you don't have a chance. I love people. Oh well, when I'm older, I'll just ask. I'll ask forgiveness. I'll change. Well, how do you know you're going to reach there?
Yeah.
Or maybe you will, but you won't have your mind. and it's too late. That's sad. It's terrible.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
I think that's a terrible way to go.
and the other thing that you get as a benefit of doing the right thing is the energy that you create by doing the right thing.
It's tenfold.
It comes back. Yeah, it comes
Probably
back
a
more than-
thousandfold.
Yeah, it's more than you'll ever know.
I feel like the worse the world gets, the more it comes back to you when you do something good because there's so little of it out there.
Yeah, now I agree with that. I mean, there's also a lot of fake people who try to say that they're doing the right thing while they're trying to manipulate everything
Well,
around them.
that's the wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah. It's like
There's a lot of them around.
the namaste world.
Yeah, them and the pedophiles, they're all over the place. It seems like too.
Oh yeah. I don't even want to get into that. Right
They're everywhere.
That's a whole other
They're
topic for another podcast.
Like it's unbelievable. Like where they've all been there, and it's been covered up. It's disgusting.
I just don't understand.
Like who wakes up in the morning and thinks about banging a kid?
I shouldn't be laughing at that, but that is a valid point. I can't even.
I mean, wake up. Oh, I'm gonna get myself a 4-year-old today.
Yeah.
What?
How about
they've been shot on sight?
Yeah. I mean, they're also the reason. That's why they get the first ones taken out in prison, and rightfully so. I mean, I think that's pretty. I think that's just a weird.
It's population control, baby.
It's also just weird. I just don't know. I don't understand. There's things I can fathom in this world, and there's things that I don't want to fathom.
How about this? There's
I
some
just
things
don't
that we
even
shouldn't have to fathom because they're so disturbing. They don't even belong in this world.
That's a valid point. I mean, I'm not going to judge it because it's not for me to judge. But I will say.
I'll say something that's.
I'll say that I believe that the energy of this world will take care of it, and God will take care of it.
I'll tell you what. I'll say something controversial right now. I have more forgiveness for a serial killer than a pedophile.
Oh, I'd probably agree with that. I would probably agree with that. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying serial killers belong in prison for the rest of their lives because obviously something's very demanding. But I think that pedophilia goes beyond that. I think it's so evil that.
Well, you're attacking innocence.
Purposely, with intent.
With intent. Yeah.
That's doing it over and over again.
That's the worst portion of it.
And then profiting off it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't understand where everyone became okay with it. That's the portion. That's the worst. That's the portion that I have the hardest time understanding because it's kind of like, why are we okay with this now? Like, this should never be okay.
I don't think people are okay with it. If you talk to most people, even liberal people, I don't think they're okay with it. I think the powers that be are trying to make it seem like people are okay with it because I think the powers that be are loaded with them.
Yeah. Oh, I think they're all part of it actually at this.
In our government and Hollywood, both.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't think that things are really crazy at this present.
I mean, Epstein had a sex island, dude, with children,
and nobody got arrested off the list.
Yeah, it's funny how that just disappeared. The list.
Not one person.
Let's go after Trump. Let's do this. Let's do that. But, Epstein's list? Nah, don't worry about it.
There's nothing to see here.
Sick.
It's pretty bad. It's one of the worst things.
And, people have forgotten about it.
I really haven't forgotten about that.
I haven't forgotten either. I bring it up all the time.
Yeah. I pull that up in conversation pretty steadily. Well, if you really want to know what's wrong with the world, that's one of the major things. That's really not something that should be taken lightly.
No, people should be executed for that.
It's also something that really should have been investigated. If there wasn't something.
There was investigated, but it was told to be closed and thrown away.
Yeah, it was too sensitive for the regular people to hear. What?
That's because people in power were going there.
Yeah. I'd
probably
say like
a lot of ex-presidents.
I'd probably say like 80% of the ruling class was involved in that, if not 90,
including the women.
Oh yeah. They're all dark.
It's about power, man.
Yeah,
and they all listen. It's on them. They all had that crossroads, and they all chose their way. And we all have that crossroads at some point in life.
But you know what? Also, I do think too. Going back to what we were talking about, I think all of those people. First of all, a lot of them have substance abuse issues.
Well, that makes it easier to do what they're doing.
Because that justifies all of their actions. Second of all, none of them are comfortable in their own skin because they're all trying to become something more than what they are.
Well, that doesn't exist, yeah.
And then I would probably...
It's like chasing the dragon after you do heroin the first time. You never can catch that dragon. They're chasing a dragon that they'll never catch.
Exactly.
It's the one that they sold their soul to.
Yep, exactly. And then I think there's that, and what was it?
And did you eat your Frosted Flakes this morning? Or?
You know, I used to love Frosted Flakes until I read how much sugar was in Frosted Flakes, and holy cow.
It didn't matter when you're young, though.
Yeah, but that stuff is so bad for you.
So's cocaine.
Well, that's true, too.
Cocaine and Frosted Flakes, people.
Actually, I did, so I'll bring up one story from back in my youth. So I used to, because I used to
We'll end the podcast with this story.
Yeah, so I used to sleep almost non-existent. I probably slept like 2 hours a night for probably 2 years, maybe 3 years. It was a long period of time. So there's a movie called Hurly Burly, which is Sean Penn's in it, Kevin Spacey. It's about Hollywood producers and their whacked life. And so one of the opening scenes is Sean Penn on this futon. And so he literally doesn't even get off the futon. He rolls over, and literally there's a line of cocaine that's on the table, and he takes a huff of it, and he gets up and starts his day.
That's like gross. Don't tell me you.
That was my morning for quite a long time, and I used to drink a cup of coffee with it.
You weren't disgusted by yourself?
So I'd call it C&C. What are you doing? I'm doing C&C.
Jesus
Coke and coffee.
Oh my God, Matt.
And what'd you do this morning? I hurly burlied it. Those were my.
Well, I will say this. You know what? I'm glad you've made it this far. I'm glad you made it to the 23rd. I am expecting you to make many other April 23rds. And for all the stuff that you did do, it made you who you are today.
Yep.
I wouldn't trade you for anything as a friend, so.
Thank you, bro.
No problem.
And I will say, same back at you. You know, I mean, living in a dark hole of an existence, you wouldn't have your kids, your wife.
I'd be in prison. You'd be dead.
Yeah, you'd probably be dead.
Because I was extremely violent.
I was just about to say, you would have fought. You would have did something bad to somebody.
I would have killed someone.
Probably.
So.
But that's okay.
And I'm not proud of that, people. I really am not. It's embarrassing, but it's the truth. And as you guys get to know me, sometimes you'll hate me because I try to tell the truth. There's no gray area for me.
No, that's okay.
Gray area is what got me in the trouble with drinking and everything.
Yeah. So. I mean, for most people, I think that is the case.
So congratulations on, was it 16 years?
16. It's all 24 hours. Wow. Really? I always say, I said this actually when I got my coin, and this is a very true statement. When the shit hits the fan in life, it's all 24 hours. And sometimes it's not even 24 hours.
Sometimes it's seconds.
Sometimes it's an hour. Sometimes it's a couple minutes. But, you know.
Someone said congratulations to me yesterday, and I said to him, why are you congratulating me? I'm just doing what I should have been doing from the beginning, and that's the truth. There's nothing amazing what I've done. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that doesn't need to be congratulated.
No, but the amazing portion is being a father to your kids and all the other.
That I don't mind someone,
all the good stuff that comes.
Giving me props for, but the not using, none of us should ever use. It's just there's no need for it.
No, it should be more of an extracurricular activity, not a job.
Yeah, we turned it into a job.
It was a full-time job.
Dude, it was double overtime.
Yeah, I definitely put in some double overtime.
With quite a few bonuses involved.
Yeah, I don't know.
No vacation time.
There was definitely no vacation.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us again. I hope you enjoyed this one. Sorry we weren't around last week, but, life happens, and I don't really care whether you upset about it or not. I'm glad you're here.
Yep, and keep trying to do the best that everybody can be with whatever situation you're going through.
Yep, and one more thing. Next time you're out, smile at a stranger. Say hello to them. It does make a difference. You never know whose life you could change that day, and I really mean that. I believe that. So until next time, we'll see you next week, people. Have a good one.
Later.